Europa Universalis IV is one of those games that definitely has many underutilized mechanics and tactics, and today I will show you something potentially useful, minus 50% aggressive expansion Ottoman Empire. I choose to show you this one due to its terrible RNG at the very beginning. So, after the initial setup, we have to. First is Conquest of Kandar, who's allied to the Great Horde. This will not prevent me from declaring the war. So my initial plan was to sit out Kandar, and instead of fighting the Great Horde, I will just continue my plan and focus on other nations such as Tulkadir and Byzantine Empire. I even checked few times if Great Horde can get military access to my land, just to be sure. I like to call these events Infinite Money Generator. About events, never ever take this one. Getting back on track, as soon as possible I will declare war on Byzantium and Tulkadir. They are very important for this strategy to work. Constantinople gives you a last city and one of two required trade cities. Other one is in Kandar. Tulkadir have province in a region considered by the game to be in Asia. All of those things are requirements for 3 out of 7 age goals. You can see, I check again if I'm safe from the Great Horde. Another age goal is having 5 vassals. There are a few nations that you can vassalize peacefully, such as Pezan and Hisin Kaifa. And here is the province I mentioned before, considered to be on another continent. Whilst integrating Turkic tribes in Anatolia and checking my Diplo, this happened. Anyway, back to integrating the Greeks. In all seriousness, the arrival of Great Horde is terrible news for us. My armies are split up, hordes are overpowered at the beginning of the game, and I have to run around to avoid getting wiped. I decided to move my armies by sea, since it was way faster and safer. Also, I forgot to mention, galley combat ability is very useful in the Mediterranean Sea. As you see, after annexing Tulkadir, the first age goal was completed. The Great Horde got encircled in the mountains and later was wiped. After I realized this was their entire army, I decided to rush Great Horde and get quick peace. After quick occupation, I was able to peace out for war reparations and some money. After that, it was finally time for Kandar, which I annexed. Also, remember, forts are useless if you are the one attacking. Ramazan was next on my hit list. I decided to start building my vassal swarm with Fyodorov. Naturally, I annexed all of Byzantium and Athens. You could also vassalize Athens, but I decided against that due to them being in regular trade node. As you can see, I also vassalized Hisin Kaifa. Now it's time to upgrade trade centers to get the next age goal. As you can see, we already finished 3 out of 7. Karaman is another Turkic tribe I will integrate. I briefly fought to vassalize their ally, Shirvan, but doing that would give me too much aggressive expansion. Trebizond and Georgia will join my vassal swarm. AI likes to target weakest targets first, and due to Trebizonian and Georgian forts being both in the mountains and far away from most battlefields we'd be fighting on, AI will run there and try to siege them down, giving us time to siege them first. Quick reminder, this exists. Also, vassalizing Fezzan went nowhere. Here's another unique event to look out for, and almost always remember to take strong duchies. It's very unbalanced. After Karaman War, I got Fate of the Patriarchate event, and finally declared war on Epirus. I delayed it, hoping that they will ally Papal State, which they did. If you don't know, sieging down Rome as non-Catholic nations can give you Sack of Rome event, and it gives a lot of money. As you can see, I vassalized both Trebizond and Georgia. I used Georgian core on Imereti to declare war on them, to also vassalize them. Imereti have cores roughly on half of Georgian land, and splitting it this way will make future integration of this land much faster. You can see here Sack of Rome event, after which I peaced out with the Papal State and used my sudden influx of cash to start upgrading this monument. By piecing out with Imereti, we finished 4th out of 7 era goals. Next, I looked for a target to humiliate. Karakianlu looked the weakest, but after realizing Hungary wasn't allied to Austria, I quickly changed my target. After failing to wipe Albanian army, I start my slow siege of Hungarian border forts. Right after we got one of the most useful events in the game. As I told you, AI tries to siege my meaningless puppets, and I have free reign in Hungary. This tactic wiped more enemies than you would expect. After accidentally finding another Hungarian army, I dealt with them Great Horde style. For my strategy to work, I need to take very underrated and underutilized espionage ideas. So after multiple armies got wiped in Imereti, there wasn't really much to talk about. I took minus 10% aggressive expansion from age bonuses, annexed Albania and humiliated Hungary. Got some prestige and their border forts, making future wars much faster and easier. I declared war on Serbia just to pass some time, took some reforms, and in December 1459, just about 15 years after the game start, I achieved minus 50% aggressive expansion as Ottomans. Now then, what you probably never heard about is, first you will have minus 50 aggressive expansion maximally for 60 years if you are very lucky. Then it changes to minus 40%, which is still a lot. Second, Ottomans start as very powerful nations. Due to this, coalitions are not something you should worry about. If you manage your wars well, add to this some vassals and quantity ideas, the AI will think that you are too powerful, and the coalition war will likely never fire, or even the coalition itself won't even form. Third, there are much more useful ideas at the very beginning of the game, such as innovative, quantity or offensive. Fourth, with the amount of trade zones Ottomans have access to, it is just better to take Islamic scholar that gives you a free merchant so you can get immensely rich by the 15th century. Even if you ignore that, there are many other Islamic scholars that have just more usefulness. With all of this said, thank you for your time and see you next time.